The first detainees arrived in 2002. The United States' detention facility at Guantanamo Bay, Cuba, has housed a total of 779 detainees. There are currently 80 detainees remaining in Guantanamo Bay. The remaining detainee population is generally composed of hardened and unrepented terrorists. The transfer of any of these detainees from Guantanamo Bay to another country risks harming America's national security. While we cannot be certain that a particular detainee will return to terrorism, we can say that the chance of recidivism with these particular detainees is high. According to the most recent statistics from the Office of the Director of National Intelligence, 204 out of the 676 released detainees are either confirmed to have re-engaged or are suspected of re-engaging in terrorist activities. Many of these detainees were thought to no longer represent a threat when they were released, yet they nevertheless returned to terrorism. The Obama administration has acknowledged that Americans have been killed at the hands of detainees who had previously been released from Gitmo. When President Obama took office, he inherited a largely high-risk population of 240 detainees. One of the President's first actions in office was to issue an executive order calling for the closure of the detention facilities at Guantanamo Bay. The administration failed to secure congressional support for closing Gitmo, so it has attempted to empty out the facility by transferring detainees that they had previously deemed too dangerous to transfer. Once a detainee is earmarked for transfer, an interagency team works with potential receiving countries to negotiate security and humanitarian assurances regarding the detainee. These agreements, though, are classified. It has not been made clear whether the administration is tracking compliance with these agreements or has just allowed risks to mount. The administration has recently approved transfers of detainees to countries with no track record of receiving detainees and with limited intelligence capabilities, including Ghana and Senegal. The administration, no doubt, is ideologically committed to closing Guantanamo Bay. The President's conclusion that the detention facility should be closed is based in part on his idea that the facility is a recruiting tool for Islamic jihadists. But this represents a misunderstanding of the nature of the terrorist threats we face. Just last week in Mosul, radical Islamic terrorists lowered 25 suspected spies into acid. They were dissolved alive. These are not the type of people that will abandon their jihad against America and our allies simply because we close Guantanamo Bay. In fact, in the most recent issue of al-Qaeda's propaganda machine, the jihadi author argued that the President's plan to close Gitmo would have little effect on recruitment efforts. It has been used as a pretext at times to recruit, but it's not the underlying cause of terrorist activity. The only way America can stop radical Islamic terrorism is to defeat radical Islamic terrorism. Appeasing terrorists or worrying about their feelings simply will not work. The administration's effort to close Guantanamo are not aimed at securing the United States' national security interests, but instead at ideological victory. Today we'll hear from a panel of experts who are able to discuss the dangers inherent in transferring the remaining detainees. They will also be able to speak to problems with past transfers and to elaborate on why the administration continues to repeat some of the mistakes of the past. I thank each of them for joining us today, and I also would like to recognize the ranking member of the Subcommittee on National Security, the gentleman from Massachusetts, Mr.